I didn't see. All right, 3C.3, maximum and minimum values of polynomials. Okay. That's what we're doing today. So a polynomial function. I know you heard me say that. I already said that a long time ago, Jonathan. You may not have been here. Oh, okay. Mentally here is what you mean, right?
Yeah, as Jay.
All right. Here we go. So in your notes, it's talking about relative maximum. So your first blank is what? Relative maximum. So write it. Your first blank is relative maximum. Okay. The points on the graph which have maximum y values or second coordinates relative to the points close to them on the graph. Essentially, what it means is the point where your graph goes up, then it goes down. So any point where it goes up and then down, that is a relative maximum. Our next word is relative minimum. Okay, the relative minimum is the points on the graph which have minimum y values or second coordinates relative to the points close to them on the graph. What does that mean in simple terms? It's where your graph goes down and then it goes up. Okay, so I'm going to decrease, then I'm going to increase. So on relative maximum, we increase, then we decrease. On relative minimum, we decrease, then we increase. Okay, sometimes drawing the arrows help just make sense of all the vocabulary words. I can't believe I printed it like that. It is what it is. Absolute maximum minimum is your next vocabulary blank. Absolute maximum, the point on the graph which has the largest y value, okay? Which is just the second coordinate point, the y value. If I ask you for your absolute maximum, I'm asking you what is your highest y value. Does that make sense? Okay. If I ask you for your absolute minimum, what am I asking you for? Your lowest y value. Okay. Absolute maximum is your highest. Absolute minimum is your lowest. All you're doing is writing in the blanks. Absolute minimum and absolute maximum. Everything else is written for you. Okay. You're welcome. All right. Important points we need to graph. These are the important things you need to have for all graphs. Your x and y intercepts, right? Where do I cross the x-axis? Where do I cross the y-axis? Your coordinates of your maximum and minimum points. So the coordinates of my highs and my lows, okay? Other points are plotted specifically, but you don't have to. They're just to help you identify where you're going, right? As long as you have the top two, your x and y intercepts, and your maximum and minimum, you can sketch out a graph of a polynomial function, okay? The polynomial functions are what we just looked at in 3C.2, where we were determining what their behaviors were, right? All the ups and downs and the curves, okay? All right, when you're using a calculator, if you're using the handheld calculator, it's going to be second plus 712. That's how you identify your maximum and minimums in the calculator. Okay, you would graph it, and then you would do second plus 712. If you're using Desmos, you just find it and click on it. I wasn't going to write that in your notes. Okay, if you're using Desmos, you just find it, click on it. Okay, that's pretty much it. I'm going to model it with handheld, but if you're doing the handheld, it is second plus 712. Okay, it's what we first got to do to reset our calculator, and then second trace, and you're going to go to either 3 or 4 for your max or min. All right, are we ready to practice? We haven't even did anything. All right, so up first, we have 3x squared minus x plus 7. Remember, y'all are right here. We hear you. We collectively. Yeah. So we have 3x squared minus x plus 7. And we want to identify the max and or minimum of this graph. So I'm going to model it with the handheld calculator. I'm going to go here. I'm going to turn on my calculator. And I'm going to reset it because I have a bunch of stuff happening. So I will go second plus 712. I reset the calculator. And now I'm going to go to y equals and put it in the graph. So in y equals, I have 3x squared minus x plus 7. Then I'm going to go to graph. And it's going to think about it. And I graph, right? So it says identify our maximum or minimum. In this case, I decrease, then I increase. So what do I have? A minimum. So to find that in the calculator, it's second trace. And you see where it says minimum. Second trace minimum. And you're going to go to the left because we read graphs from left to right. So we go to the left of the minimum. Then we're going to go to the right of the minimum. And it's going to say, here's your minimum. No, when you're describing, we're going to use the point. We're going to write it out in a second. All right, I'm going to now model it using what? The Desmos. Okay, so we're going to go to Desmos. Okay, in Desmos, I'm going to put in the function. What was it again? 3x squared minus x plus 7. Okay, notice I don't see it. That's because my window is too tight. So I just got to zoom out. Shh, please stop talking. You can go to the hall if you want to talk. Literally, you're going to click. That's it for Desmos. Like there's no going left, going right. You find it, you click it. And oh my gosh, it's right there. Crazy. Okay, that is your ordered pair for your minimum point. Okay, so we're going to write that and then we're going to use it to describe what's taking place. Cool. All right, are there any questions about either way we just did it? Pick your poison. Whatever. All right, so because I wasn't going to write decimals down. I was just not, there was no point. All right, where was my minimum point at? 1.167, comma. I wrote a 6. You are. All right. So now that you identified your find the max or min, we found it, right? We have a minimum point. You're going to describe its intervals of increase and decrease. So our function was doing this. So from negative infinity all the way up until this point, I am decreasing. Agree? From this point all the way to positive infinity, I am increasing. So my intervals of increase and decrease. Are we ready? So we are decreasing. And we decrease from negative infinity. From left to right, we decrease up until, and it's always going to be using your X value to describe. X marks the spot, okay? So we decrease all the way up until we get to this point, which is at 0.167. Yes? Numbers are brackets, infinities are parentheses. Okay, then we're going to, when do we start increasing? We start increasing at 0.167 and we go on to positive infinity. So we identified our minimum. We identified our intervals of increase and decrease. Yay? All right, are you ready to try another one? Which way? Because that's just the value. That's your minimum value. It is not how you describe intervals of increase and decrease. You're welcome. Have fun. Good luck. All right, ready? We're gonna do a new graph. This time you're gonna do it. Okay? Why? Oh. There's always All right, so practice graphing, identifying, tell me your, whether you have a max or a minimum, and then describe your intervals of increase and decrease. What's wrong? Let me see.
It's fat. Oh, it's double X. Put double X. Oh, wait, why the one?
It's x squared. X squared.
Yep.
So it should be.
Get it right.
I have a, is this max?
Oh.
You zoomed out.
It's back.
That's right. Yeah, so this time you have a what? There you go. And then remember, we read graphs from left to right. So from left to right, what is my graph doing? You tell me that. Dead bug always got me. Every time. Are you ready to go over it?
No, wait. Let me finish writing.
I'm about to just graph it. Can I graph it?
No.
It does what?
Wait, is it possible?
From left to right. What's left?
So one and then that number.
There you go.
Okay. I can't.
I understood you though. We're good. All right. So there can be both. There can be. Squiggly, squiggly. Yep. That's the perfect description there. Okay. All right. So we're graphing negative. What is it? I forgot. That quick. My brain. Negative 2x squared. Negative 2x squared plus 4x plus uno. All right. So here's my maximum. And why is it a maximum? It's an increase then a decrease. Yes. So we have a maximum at 1, 3. So over here, we have a max at 1, 3. That's our ordered pair. And because it's a max, I increase, then I decrease. So my interval of increase, it starts where? My interval of increase forever to the left is?
Oh. It's negative infinity.
And I go all the way up to 1. My interval of decrease, I start where? There we go. 1 to infinity. So we identified our max and our interval. Yes? Okay. All right. So thus far for these two examples, we only had one max or one min, right? It's going to change. Okay. So now we're going to graph this and describe what's taking place. Did you say it's always something? Okay. So we have, you have it in your notes. It's on your paper. Thank you. Plus 7x squared minus 3x.
Oh,
Thank you. All right.
I was doing that.
Yes. It's cha-cha to the left, right? All right. So here we go. I'm going to click. Here is a, what is this one? A min. And this one is our max. We're going to write out.
Down, and then it goes up.
All right. So before, yes, it keeps going. You have as many curves.
Have 2 increases?
All right, here we go. Let's look. What are we doing here? This is going to be our interval of what? It's the interval of decrease, then an interval of, and then an interval of decrease. We understand what we're writing? So we have to stoop, right? All right, good job. Y'all are so smart. So proud of y'all. Yes, because you're going to label them. One is your minimum, one is your max, right? So let's talk about it. So we have our min, right? And we have our max. Agreed? So from there, we're going to read our graph from left to right. Is that cool? So from left to right, we start off as a what? As a decrease. And we're decreasing from negative infinity all the way up until we reach our minimum. And our minimum takes place at 0.239. We are going down, right? Yes, it's always the X. X marks the spot when you're describing your increase and decrease. Okay. All right. Now we keep reading from left to right. So we decrease, then now we're increasing. So now we're going to increase. And we're increasing from this X to that X. And numbers are going to be in brackets. Okay. And then we have a what? And we have another decrease, right? So I'm just going to write, and we also decrease where? From what to what? There we go. So from 2.095 and forever to the right is positive infinity. So we identified our min, our max, our intervals of decrease, and our intervals of increase. And again, we read our graphs from left to right, just like you read a book, left to right. Talk to me.
I like this one.
Okay.
Don't look.
All right. So keep that in mind. Do the last example, and then we're going to go over it. Last example. And we are done with 3.
So there's this part there right there.
Mm-hmm.
How many parts?
When's the test?
Friday.
Our test is like in 2 weeks.
Why didn't you give us a paper?
Nope.
Where's this beyond love?
You could have used it
Nope.
as daily version. Something.
Nope.
I need that long.
Nope. All your homework, this makes your homework even more valuable.
No,
You think
it makes,
so?
no, it makes
Not
me really
that
scared
bad.
because I feel like
It makes you have to do your homework.
No,
Yes, at the end, the last 6 weeks.
you're evil.
I'm not evil.
Yes.
I'm so great.
So why did?
You're a hater.
All right.
I get
last
the
one.
obsession.
Mhm.
I don't like
I
things
think
that-
we're two different things.
You do good luck.
Mm.
Gosh, oh, dear. Like, it's a pretty job. My bad. All right, last one. Remember, we read our graphs from left to
All right.
Why should you feel like that? Then went back to
Why is there 4?
What the hell? Thank you.
I don't like it.
Remember y'all think I do?
I'm on straight.
They're going to remember my.
Oh, there you
They're gonna be like,
Isn't the guy who
like next year's they're gonna know.
Is this the order?
They're gonna stop you in the honeymoon.
Oh.
That's it.
I was like, what did it reference?
They're gonna be like, no, it's the lame. It's the lame.
This
You got a
guy-
tour right now, like 10 minutes ago. Yeah.
Just go.
It does.
Yeah, that's it.
At one of its
Go in the
points.
hallway.
Yeah.
The round four?
Well, there's 3,
Oh.
but like,
Homer shut off with.
Wait.
9, 11, 11.
oh, okay, I was trying to make sure it wasn't no more. You said zoom out.
FTC.
This is the only thing I hate about it.
FTC.
Just do.
FTC.
Look on the house and it reset.
Oh.
Why is it on?
And then now you can.
I said, you're not even an FTC fan like that. What?
I don't know how.
I'll put the graphic wrong.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
the only one who actually watched it.
You watch Fight React.
Okay, yeah.
His live.
Think I did.
There's some watches
Oh,
on
it's
like.
just positive. Oh,
Your watches.
I don't know what you did.
All right, here we go.
Is it still negative?
It's because negative just describes whether it's coming from the left or the right. All right. Let's graph and look at this bad boy. Okay. All right, help your teacher out. We have 2 x to the 4 plus x to the 3rd power plus or minus. Minus. Is this the beauty you created? All right, so from this beauty, we're going to identify. We have, what is this one? This is a max or min, a minimum. Then we have a maximum, and then you're covering my min. Let's try that. Maybe I'll go that way. We have a, yeah, I gotta be smarter than Desmond. There we go. Okay, so let's describe what's taking place. So again, this is a min, this is a max, and this is a min. So now we're going to describe our intervals of increase and decrease as we read our graph from left to Right, and as we're describing, remember, it's using your X's mark the spot, okay? So from the left, what am I doing? It's a decrease. So negative infinity up until when? Good job. Okay, then after that, I have a what? An increase. There we go. Negative 1.0742. 0. Then after that, I have a what? Another decrease. 0 to 0.699. And then I have a perfect from. You did it. You did it. Bam. Okay, how do we feel? You do your homework.
No.
What's the point of homework? I feel like
To get ready for the test. We're not doing it.
More value.
Nope.
It's not even that. I just feel like, dang, I can't take.
Thank you.
Like,
All right,
I have
you're welcome.
10
That was nice. I love it.
It was us hating quizzes and then now.
Now you're mad that